explain.
Okay,
No,
well,
that's fine.
you want to start us off?
I will.
Okay. Hit your mic.
Hit it hard. I just think, well, I think $5,000 towards that program is too much. My personal feeling. I think it's getting out of hand. Unless there's like watershed council, I'm sure it's does good, but I have a hard time seeing that good myself personally. I don't think it's your times are restrained. There's areas like this where we have to pull back. That's my personal view. That's where I'm at.
Just a comment to that. Last year, we only gave him 1,000. I mean, you can lower the amount.
Yeah, absolutely. But for 5,000, I'm not in.
Councillor Gilroy?
Well, first of all, I was just going to ask for a clarification on the options, because you have administration's given us 2019, and on options 1 and 2, and 2020 on the suggested option. And so I know it's a budget deliberations. However, it was a question of whether they were looking at it to actually take it out of the existing budget. We may have some funds for now, or to go to 2020. In their letter, it does say 2020. So I'm assuming that in the option 1 would be correct in that. The other part, my main point actually was in, it's helping out our county is a big supporter of this through the ag. They're doing a lot. They're helping a lot of the farmers in the area through the ALICE program, which is a program that is across Canada. They're going to be changing a lot of things. They've been doing testing on the water source that we have, a number of water sources. It's one of the things that will affect and can affect not only the drinking water that we deal with, but also the amount of money that some of these farmers have to spend in our town. And the county is really heavily investing in it. And we are one of the only partners that really have not invested in it. I was just going to, I had my files with me here, and I'm just, you got me by surprise when you talked about 1,000 to 2018, because I don't remember seeing that on my statements from the last meeting we were at. And so, I just, if you go on, I just want to double check, because I have my work with me from the Slave Lake watershed. Because I don't think we gave anything. It may have been a motion, but I don't think we ever paid it. 1,000 to them. Right.
Okay, now, your first question was, this is a request for 2020,
Right.
not 2019, right? Is
Because
that just confirmation?
Which is page 23, it says. I just
Okay,
noticed
the
that.
motion does say 2019 budget deliberations, and it should be 2020.
Well, the motion said in option 1 or 2, but the one that Councilor Courtney said 2020. So that's why I was confused as to
Yeah.
the different dates.
I just wanted to
Well,
make
the one I
sure.
said is 2019.
But it should be
But it should be 2020.
Should be
Let's
2020
just
altogether.
clarify that first, okay?
So that's a mistake?
And just one question,
Whoa.
Brian, did we give anything in 2019?
No.
We did 0 in 2019? Okay. So looking back at history, if I'm correct, in 2015 was 5,000, 5,000 in 2016, then 0, then 1,000, then 0. Okay. Any other comments at this point? For me, I know you know, they do a lot. They've got the new watershed report and guidelines, and I think part of what they're doing is trying to enforce that and keep developing that. So putting something towards there, I would agree with. I'm not sure either if 5,000 is the right amount. might be more inclined to go less, but, because they do lots, and when I'm looking in here, it looks like they've lost quite a bit of funding in 1 year from the government. It went from 275 down to, well, 100,000, and then 71 for that resiliency program, which would be another grant, so that's 171 from the 275 that they were making, so it's a bit of a drop there. Councilor Gilroy.
The explanation for all that is this. The last money that was given to all the watersheds in the province, and there are 11 of them, was before the election. They were given $100,000 each, and no money has been released since, well, no money's been released until after the budget. And so there's quite a few of the watersheds actually as well that have either laid off people or have closed up. Ours has been pretty good that way. They've been fairly good with the projects. They've had to keep money aside and they've been dipping into some reserves. But I wanted to point out that I did the financial statement for the Treasurer's report from August 15 to September 15, 2019. It has a breakdown of municipal support, just so you know whether or not we paid it or sent it. MD of Lesser Slave River gave $5,000 in 2018, 19, and 15. Slave Lake stopped for the last 2 years. We gave $5,000, 15, 16, 17. Big Lakes County is given from 15 to 19, $81,000. And the last money,
that's all in our report.
and the last money they received from us was in 2016. $5,000 in 2015, $5,000 in 2016. They received no money, according to this report, for 17, 18, or 19. That's when it went out.
Okay.
Even if.
So there's a conflict, or conflicting information there, which isn't all that critical.
I don't know if they included the water bottle fill stations, because we did do some of that stuff for them.
That would not have been included. This is totally different than.
Yeah, those water bottle filling stations were purchased through them,
It was,
but it was through the
It's a-
Sesquicentennial Committee that purchased those. So maybe that's part of, well, no, those bottle filling stations were more than 1,000, so I'm not sure why that's there. Okay, any other comments on this? We have a motion to receive for information. Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is carried. Moving on to Southeast News proposal, item 9.2. Councillor Long?
The council received the advertised proposal from Southeast News for information.
Okay. Comments on this one? Questions, comments? Councillor Stenhouse?
Comment. Did we not have the lady from the newspaper come at one point and say that we could negotiate a different package and to bring down our prices? So have we negotiated a different price?
And that's part of what this is, right? It would be a package price. Do you want to speak on this one, Brian?
We still use Southeast News for advertising, but since we passed our bylaw that says that we can advertise elsewhere, it has cut back the amount that we have been paying them. So we advertise more on the billboards, the front door, our digital sign, social media. So, but it has been a bit of a savings to the town, as you can see, but that's where administration is looking at.
So if I can summarize, we were spent in 2018, we spent 17,000, 17 and a half. Currently up to, in this year, we've spent 6.5. And what they're proposing is basically a little over 10,000 for the year, but we would have a lot, like a half a page ad in each article, right? And I guess this is whether or not we want to bring it forward to budget deliberations, or, because this is, for me, just my thoughts, is this is a decision that you can make, right? You're asking for a little bit more money, but that would be about it. I'm not sure what's in our current budget, but it's a simple matter of saying, yes, this is a good deal for the advertising that we want to do, or it's not.
Well, we didn't completely snub them or ban them from advertising at all, so I would like to continue as we go along.
Okay. Councillor Gilroy?
I was reading the proposal, and I have to admit that the second last paragraph on the first page where it says that whatever one we do, it will also include a digital page on my website of southeastnews.com and highprairie.com, and a link to social media, and they can also link back to townhighprairie.com, which does give us a wider range. But I think the other point I want to point out is we may have various opinions on we'll just say personal opinions in this case, but the way I look at it is this is a business in our town. And as the leaders of this town, as the council, we set the direction. And so if we're not going to support, I mean, we can ask for a smaller amount. We don't have to take this. We could, a bank can do something different. But I think we do need to support businesses in our town. They pay the taxes. They employ the people. Regardless of how many people it is, they employ them. And I think we need to put this forward to budget deliberations. And if our admin wants to tweak it a bit and say, okay, instead of, what Mr. Gomes says, if we, instead of 51 weeks, we only want 26 weeks. So we can choose what we want. That's fine with me. But I want to make sure that we definitely use all of the social medias and we support our local business here.
Other thoughts? Councillor Danaka?
It's a little on the high side. I don't necessarily think that we need 51 weeks. I mean, we could ask Mr. Gomes if they can retweak it to, as Councillor Gilroy said, 26 weeks, or quarterly, or whatever you want to see what they come up with for costs. I know a lot of people use the paper as opposed to social media, Facebook, online. It is a good way to get our message out, and I would like to see if what other proposals they have, and bring it to budget and see if we can work something out.
I was just going to ask, one thing I was thinking about is, what do we normally set aside for budgeting purposes for them? I know it's not okay. I'm just curious, because it's going to be, I mean, right now we're at 66, and by the time the year's done and the projects that we have coming up, it's going to be probably around 8 or 9 anyway, so it's not a big stretch to do this. It opens the door to, we talked yesterday in our strategic planning about doing some more, trying to reach out and promote the town and what we're doing and how we're doing it, and maybe that's something that we could do a little bit more of, and put it in a, you know, every week put a half a page ad of what's going on in the town in there or something. So it might be a benefit for doing something like that. Yeah, and maybe I mean, it would take a little bit more work to put an ad together every week, and that would be some time for our staff to do that too. It's not just You know, it would take somebody to put that together, a half a day to put together what you want to put in that ad. So it's a big ad at half a page.
That's a big
Maybe we can reduce the size, like maybe we don't need half page.
Yeah, like I'm not sure, or maybe it's once a month or something. Yeah. Just my thoughts on it. Councillor Gilroy?
Well, just, remember we were talking about some of the motions that have come before our council that we thought were something that shouldn't come before our council, they should be public ones. Some of the day of celebration type things, you know, where you're honoring, I guess, certain public recognitions that remember we got tired of those, we had so many in a row. Could we make any arrangements where we could, say, offset a couple of these ads and have them do those public announcements instead? Because what I'm looking at here is they've increased their reach here to High Prairie, Slave Lake, Peace River, Falera, McLennan, and looking at Grand Prairie and Valley View. I mean, that's a pretty big region to focus on if this is correct. So I'd like to try and see if we can offset a couple of those, and instead of us having to deal with a lot of these proclamations, that's the word. Proclamations, maybe we can just get the newspaper to do it for us. We don't have to do as much work here.
Okay, any other thoughts on this one? Seeing none, we have a motion to receive this for information, correct? Or am I, yeah. Okay. So, all of those in favor? Opposed?
Hold on, whoa, go back.
Okay,
Okay, it just went,
Receive for information, all those in favor.
okay.
okay, do you want me to repeat this?
Well,
Okay.
it's just like, all those in favor, and then all those opposed right away, it's like, what?
Okay,
Okay,
so we'll start over.
Okay.
We have a motion to receive for information.
right.
All of those in favor?
Me.
Opposed? Okay, that's defeated. Would we like to propose a different motion on this one? Councillor Gilroy?
That the council forward the advertising proposal from Southeast News to our budget deliberations after further negotiations with Department. No, that's what we're saying. We wanted to have a little more negotiation before it went. Is that not right, Don? So,
With more options.
More
okay,
options.
with more options. How,
Yeah.
you guys can clean it up. That's why I'm beside Michael, so you can clean it up for me.
So, did you catch that? So we're gonna say moving this to budget deliberations with some more costing options.
Exactly.
All of those in favor? Opposed? None? Carried.
What you giggling at?
You look like, what just happened here?
Okay, moving on. Oh, we're just ripping through this here. CAO report and action list. Councillor Stenhouse?
That council received the CAO Brian Martinson's report and action list for information.
All right. I'll turn it over to you, Brian, to update us.
Further from last night's meeting, I was in discussions with Marion, and the recreation facilities managers that have been putting stuff in our newsletter since November of 2018. So if Marion isn't receiving stuff to fill the letter, then they're not providing that stuff for her. So, but they have been, and she did make a list of months and that they have been, and it's quite consistent actually.
Oh, okay. I just noticed a couple that there weren't in there, and I thought, why aren't they in there? Especially there was one where the pool was closed and reopening, and they could have put in the date
They
and stuff.
started November of 2018 was the first time.
They did, so they have had
Right
at
after
times,
they came on board with us, I think so.
but they're not expected to submit something?
Well,
Yeah,
They're requested, but if they don't have, I'd let Marion speak on, she's the one that does the newsletter.
All the departments have a deadline of around the 6th to 8th of every month to provide me with something. And if they miss it, because I have to have all my newsletters printed before Corey prints all her bills. So I have to get it done a few days before she gets the bill sent. So,
But they're all notified.
Okay. I'm wondering if this was, I know that our rec, was it coming from the managers of the facilities or the rec director? That was the managers, okay. And they're expected to submit something if something's going on. Okay, no, that's good to know.
Perfect.
Just I've been attending a lot of meetings with various committees and out of council and that, so it's a busy time of year right now, so.
All right, Councillor Danaka.
As was brought up earlier, so where are we with the mold reclamation and the roof?
The guys for the replacement of the roof are supposed to be in on the 15th of November. And the cleanup of the mold is done.
It's done,
It's done, yeah.
so there's no mold in there anymore.
No mold in there no more, no. They removed all the mold that was identified in their initial visits.
And what is it, the gymnastics club are aware of that? They were they were contacted saying, okay,
I
this is
don't know
done.
if Ricky did contact them, I would imagine he had talked to them, but
And how long is it gonna take them to do that roof?
they figured 7 to 10 days,
And that's as soon as they could come was November?
yes. I had asked them because in their initial quote, they had quoted council extra costs for looking after snow removal and that, and I said, you've got enough time here, get here now, and they don't have to pay for that stuff, so.
Right, yeah, okay, all right.
I think the other thing with that snow is that it only leaks after the snow's been sitting on it and it starts to melt. So we'd probably be all right until, you know, I'm thinking the March,
Bring it down, yeah.
yeah,
We'll see.
kind of thing. But it's better to get it done now so it's cleaned up and ready
And
and
it's
we.
not a condensation problem, it's an actual leak where the ice stands up, that's causing.
Others, Councillor Stenhouse, she's smiling, she's got stuff.
Okay, number 3, at the bottom of the list, the letter to the Honorable Health Minister. I'm just wondering, is because of this meeting, has this letter been put on hold or is it still in the works?
I better know,
You have it on hold
yes,
because of the meeting?
yes.
Okay.
Councillor Gilroy.
As per the other amendment that we made earlier to the, just as Councillor Stenhouse mentioned it, it is not just a letter to the Honorable Tyler Shandro, it is also to Dr. Bernie Yu. And whether we get and of course the big league's coming, so I think this is something that, unless we get 100% satisfaction, we need to send a letter anyway because it is a motion.
Okay, I had a question. I'm just wondering on when we'll hear what the town employees are thinking of the LAP and, or not LAP, but the changing of the benefits plan, or possibly changing.
We just had another actual meeting today with half the employees in 2 sessions, and it had to do with our benefits, so. We met with the 2 ladies, Anita and myself as the HR person, and she will have to basically send out a survey to all the employees now that took part in the sessions today to see, because it had to do with additional benefits, like increasing the dental, vision or stuff like that, so. And then we have to get a feel from the employees if they wanna, if they're interested in paying more and for more services, and then ultimately we'll have to bring it back to council. For approval by council, that's gonna affect our budget, so.
Is there any date that should be coming with the budgets, next budget presence?
It's not included in the budget right now, but I told Anita that, and these ladies are gonna figure out worst case scenario, so if we do go with additional coverage, say another $500 to the dentist, she'll figure that out at the max, or if every employee would take part in it. You don't, it's not a compulsory thing to take part in it, but worst case scenario, she can figure out the numbers for the max, for the number of permanent employees we have, and then go from there. So it'll be at that amount for the budgeting, but it could probably be less.
Okay. Anything else for our CAO? Just while we're on the CAO's topic, somewhat related is we need to do the CAO evaluation, and I know some were here last night, but some weren't, and I'll send that out. Use what we had last year and use that same survey. Are we all right with that? We're good? No? Okay, I'll send that out, and so we have to do it when you get back from holidays. When are you back?
I'm coming back for the meeting on the 12th.
October 12th, or I should say November 12th.
He doesn't get a year off, you know.
Okay. So we'll have to, yeah.
I was going to leave Vern in charge, but he's also going at that same time, so I'll be coming out of my holidays for that one day.
I'd have a little hard time coming back.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Seeing none, we had a motion to receive for information. All those in favor? It is carried. Moving on to the FCSS report. Get a motion on this one.
I'll make that motion that council receives the September FCSS Managers Report and monthly stats for information.
All right. We have a question or a comment from Mr. Gilroy.
I'm looking at the managers report, and we're supporting them a lot. And when it comes to Christmas Angels, it says Big Lakes County residents only. I'm wondering if we have an office here in town, are they, when they mean Big Lakes County residents only, are they talking about us as well as part of Big Lakes County, since geographically we're within that range? Or is it everyone outside of our town? And secondly, I'd love to figure out, it says Community Volunteer Income Tax Program, how they come to the idea that by participating in this program, they're able to keep 2.1 million plus in our community for doing 236 tax returns. Sorry.
Councillor Stenhouse, you might have answers to those being on the committee.
Yes. So let's start with your income tax program. They're not, but they help people fill out their income tax forms, which either they would hire someone, these are of low income, they would hire someone, and by doing all these income tax forms, that number comes from income tax that has been returned to this area. That's where that figure comes from. Do you understand?
So it's $10,000 per person that they're getting back.
See, the money would still come back to our community. The only difference you're talking about is volunteers to alleviate the cost of preparing the taxes.
Right.
And that's why I don't understand for 236, how can you save $2 million for 236 tax returns? It just seems inflated.
It's not savings, they brought it, they helped to bring that into the community by filing their income tax.
But the people still have to file their income tax and they still live in our community. How, I'm sorry,
No,
Okay.
that's good, that's good. What you're asking makes sense, but that's the way it was explained to us, is by filing this is money that come back.
I'm gonna get them to do my taxes.
Yeah, I want them to do mine and getting over $10,000 a person back on an average there. That's pretty darn good.
They buy me a boat.
I know. That's the tax, I gotta change my tax return, or that's not what I get. And you had another question, which was about the toy drive, you know, an answer to
Christmas
that?
Angels.
Or the
Christmas
Christmas Angels, okay.
No,
No answer for
You
you?
can say you'll take it back to the committee
I
shortly.
will take it back
Thank
to the
you.
committee and get clarification on this.
Appreciate that.
And about the number, $2 million seems
Yeah.
excessively high.
Yeah, it does.
See, when they were explaining to us, it kind of made sense. It's like they filed this income tax,
Yeah.
and with all the people combined, it brought back, it made sense to me at the time, but now the way you ask it, it's like,
$10,000
oh,
a pop,
pardon me?
$10,000 per person. That's a good tax.
It could be the salaries of these people, and then the return that they get back on top of the salaries, and that would make sense. Okay? So if somebody made $30,000 from their life, what they paid in income, they added about $3,000 back. So they kept $33,000 in this area, roughly. That's kind of the way I would see it to make sense.
Just, I had a comment on that. I really like the report, the comparison report, so we can see how the numbers have gone up or down. I know that's something that we have asked for as a council before, and please pass along that anyways, I like the report. You can see where the trends are going. And that leads me to my question, which is, why are the numbers up significantly this year?
Economy, the buses bringing them into town.
Okay, no, it's just, I mean, and I know maybe it's a new manager, maybe they're keeping data stats slightly differently, you're asking them to count, but I was just wondering if that's part of it, or if it's...
The seniors numbers are different.
This is just the High Prairie branch, though, it's not the county, is it?
High Prairie stats.
Yeah, it's just the High Prairie stats, it's not the rest of the county.
Here you thought you had it all figured out.
I know.
Well, maybe you could ask that at the next FCSS and bring it back, I'm just curious why they're up so much, right? Like, it's great to see it's getting used, but I'm just wondering why.
And like I do believe that with the buses, with their bus now, I think FCSS is getting more promoted as to what they have to offer. And I think that is also a contributing factor, is the awareness of what they have to offer and what they're doing, and making people aware of it.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, we had a motion to receive for information. All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to our written and verbal reports. We'll start with Councillor Danaka.
No report.
Councillor Gilroy.
I'll just give a very quick one, just on the last 4 meetings. Just on the last 4 meetings. That's just Slave Lake watershed, and that was